I'm going to start with Tom Brady, okay? The Buccaneers led the league in fantasy points last year as a team.
Mm-hmm.
But this year is not last year. This team has changed from the way that it was last year. And I want to preface this conversation, Field, by saying this is not a conversation about doubting Tom Brady, more so about the idea that there are some question marks around the players around him within this offense, specifically the offensive line. Is there enough going on here? Right now, you've got Tom Brady at QB5. Is there enough going on with the uncertainty of the offensive line that you have either considered changing the ranking on Brady or you have changed your ranking on Brady heading into the season?
Yeah, so as I mentioned a couple days ago when Brady was back, I've thought about moving Brady down a slot or two. He is currently quarterback 5 on my board. The gap between he and Lamar Jackson feels wider now than it did about a week or two ago. But I've decided to sit on Tom Brady at quarterback 5. And the offensive line issues are legitimate. Like any quarterback, Tom Brady is much more mortal with bad offensive line play, but he also is probably the fastest, and I think this was backed up statistically last year, quarterback in terms of the time that he gets the ball to the time that he releases the football. He's incredibly decisive. He's going to have a ton of yak from his receivers. And let's look at the good for a second here. Tom Brady had at least 30 passing attempts in every game last season. Every single one, 30 passing attempts. He also had the most top 10s amongst all quarterbacks last year. He had 11 top 10 finishes. He had just 2 games outside the top 20. He had 2 touchdown passes or more in 12 of his games. He had 9 games with 25 or more fantasy points, best amongst all quarterbacks. The ceiling is absolutely incredible. We always talk about quarterbacks that can run. There are some that buck that trend, none more so than Tom Brady. I feel good about him at quarterback 5.
Yeah, Mike, how about you? Does that offensive line, does that give you any hesitation or pause?
Maybe some slight hesitation or some slight concern, maybe docking them, I don't know, a quarter of a touchdown. I mean, not even that much, right? It's definitely a minor concern. Obviously, Gronk's gone. Godwin might miss some time to open the season or be limited to some extent. I think a larger concern for me is the fact that he had the second most pass attempts in NFL history last year and still was only QB3, right? So I think if we
QB3.
That's good. We're trying to decipher between, 8 quarterbacks we think are pretty much even, right? You're trying to, like we've talked about this a million times, from 4 to say 12 for me at quarterback is very, very close. I'm fine with either guy. I'm fine with Tom Brady, but I have a couple guys ahead of him for that reason. I think his pass volume naturally will, we'll say regress to the mean a little bit. I think looking at, remember, new coaching staff here as well, at least a new, I should say new head coach, but there are reports that they want to balance it out a little bit, at least maybe take a little bit off of a 45-year-old quarterback. Still going to be pass heavy. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a ton of volume here. Good chance he leads the NFL in pass attempts, but top 5 in NFL history, maybe not. Right. So the fact that he adds nothing with his legs is a limitation from fantasy perspective. So for me, he's more of a mid to back end QB1, not that top 3 guy he finished as last year.
Kyle does note that Brady was second in the NFL last year in terms of time to throw from the time that he received the football. Can anybody guess who was number 1?
Aaron Rodgers.
No.
What?
No.
Fastest to be able, hike, boom, throw.
Derek Carr?
No. Ben Roethlisberger, actually. Which kind of makes sense when you think about the Steelers' offensive line and the fact that he's not trying to take too many hits in his final NFL season.
Yeah, but that wasn't always the case. He used to be. I would bet he was on the opposite end for a long time.
He used to be like Aaron Rodgers is now and Patrick Mahomes. They would take forever because they were so elusive and strong in the pocket.
Point, though, Field, Ben didn't need to wait for wide receivers to get downfield because he could only throw it like 5 or 6 yards downfield. So it doesn't take long for a wide receiver to get there.
That is accurate. I mean, very low average depth to throw, yards per tar, all that fun stuff.
It was tough.
I'm in on Brady, though. Brady for sure.
I think we're all in on Brady.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.